Thank you for inviting me to share my experience during and after World War II. I shared my experience with the Women's Club of Freedom Village, that's where I live, retired community where I live. I will use my presentation of the Women's Club of Freedom Village as my script for today. Thank you for inviting me to share my experience as United States of America prisoner of war during World War II. My family was included among the 120 persons of Japanese blood who were removed from California, Oregon, and Washington. This included both U.S.-born citizens and aliens born in Japan, male and female of all ages.
Oh, excuse me, can you hear in the back?
No. You can't hear? I'm so sorry.
Hear?
Okay. I'll try to speak louder.
Sure,
okay?
Chris, could you close the door? That might help a little, okay?
My maiden name was...
Well, no, I'm not going to move you because that'll mess up the camera. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
My maiden name was Michiko Yoshida. I adopted Mickey in grammar school. It was easier to pronounce. Both my parents were born in Hiroshima, Japan. They were truck farmers in the Torrance area. They grew a variety of vegetables and berries. Can you hear me? Okay, good. They had 4 daughters. 2 of my sisters have died. I have only 1 sister left. I have not been able to speak, who have not been able to speak since she suffers from dementia. I was born in Lomita area of Torrance, lived there until I was interned at age 13. I went to public school until April 2nd, 1942. Sunday, December 7th, 1941 changed my life. The U.S. government declared that all persons of Japanese blood to be suspect of loyalty and to be considered enemies of the USA. In February 1942, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066 declaring that all persons of Japanese blood be removed from the West Coast. This included U.S. citizens and Japan-born aliens, even newly born orphans. We were given 4 days to sell, give away, or abandon businesses, farms with crops ready to harvest, homes and all personal belongings, and to report to an assembly center. Pomona Park Ground and Santa Anita racetracks were the 2 local assembly centers. Information of their internment was published in the local newspaper, so many just waited on the street for us to leave so they could steal our personal belongings. They were told to report to Santa... Can you hear in the back? Okay. We were told to report to the Santa Anita racetrack. I was 13 years old when I entered on Easter Sunday, April 4th, 1942. We were allowed to take only bedding, some clothes, whatever we could carry. We could not take radios, knives, cameras, scissors, buckets, or pots and pans. My father drove his own car from Lomita to San Pedro, then single file, non-stop with military police escort to Arcadia and Santa Anita track. That was just continuous from there to camp. My father was forced to abandon his car after entering the Santa Anita Assembly Center. Upon arrival at Santa Anita, we were required to have everything we took examined to make sure we didn't bring things like cameras, knives, and scissors. Our family was among the first to be interned in Santa Anita, so we were assigned to live in horse stalls in the stables. We had 6 in our family, so we were assigned 2 stalls. Horse stalls do not have the top half of the door, nor do they have walls to the ceiling, nor between stalls, so there was no privacy. They placed asphalt on the ground for flooring. The asphalt did little to stop the odor of horse urine and poop. At night, the bright lights from the searchlights from the watchtowers came into our stalls because we didn't have a full door. It was difficult to sleep. The watchtowers had machine guns pointed into the camp to prevent us from escaping. We stuffed bags and straws for our mattress. We had our meals in a mess hall, several blocks from the stable. The food was terrible. Our shower facility was also several blocks away. I believe it was used to wash horses. There was no partitions in the showers, room, or between the potties, so there was no privacy. By the time we walked back to the stalls on dirt walkways, our feet was all dirty. There was no provision for schools, so I missed first 3 months of my freshman year. There was no provisions for recreation. It meant long, boring days. After 6 months at the Santa Anita Assembly Center, we were shipped to War Relocation Center, which we called camp. They were located mostly in undesirable location. There was a total of 10 war relocation centers, 2 each in California, Arkansas, and Arizona, and 1 each in Colorado, Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming. We spent 4 days and 4 nights on a train with window shades down so outsiders could not see us, and we were prevented from looking out. It was very hot and humid inside the rail car. The only good thing in the train was we were fed in a dining car and received good and delicious food. Not anything like the mess hall food. Each car had 2 soldiers and guns and bayonets to prevent us from escaping. To build the Jerome War Relocation Center, trees were removed from the swamp. Then the camp was built. They created a new city of 10,000 persons. So we had a hospital, post office, water and sewage systems, small general store, but no police department or jailhouses. We were already prisoners behind barbed wire fences. My father was a fire truck driver. He never had a fight. He would bring the truck home to our block and gave the children rides. Each camp had common layouts. There were 2 rows of 7 barracks, and at the end of each row was a mess hall. At the end of the row, can you understand? You can't hear, I'm so sorry. At the end of the other row was a barrack used as a recreation hall. In between the row of barracks was a common area, which had a laundry building, separate women's and men's shower and toilets. There was no partitions in the shower room or between toilets. Again, no privacy. Our high school was staffed by local teachers who were very old or marginal in capability. Each morning we were required to pledge of allegiance to the flag, which ends with liberty and justice for all. We had lost our liberty and were interned without due justice. The residents made the best of the situation. We had dances, movies, talent shows, Boy Scout troops, and ondo. That's a Japanese folk dancing. We played baseball, basketball, and football when it wasn't raining. It rained often, so a lot of ping pong, mostly with guys from Japan. After we lived in Jerome Camp for 2 years, the government needed a prisoner of war camp for German prisoners, so they moved us to War Relocation Center, about 35 miles north of Jerome Camp. Life in Aurora was about the same as Jerome Camp. I completed my 2nd year of high school. Many residents were leaving camp to return to West Coast or cities in eastern USA. Many of the young men volunteered and served with the 442nd Battalion, the most decorated battalion in World War II. There were so few young people left, I was made block manager at age 15. I was paid $19 a month, which was the highest salary paid to camp workers. Our family was among the first to be interned and was the very last to leave. They closed the rural camp the day we left. The reason we were the last to leave was we had no place to go. Japanese was still hostile against California was still hostile against persons of Japanese ancestry. The government gave us train tickets and $25 and wished us luck. A friend offered us a shelter and work on a ranch in Lodi, California. The shelter was an old barn. There was no running water. But there were plenty of large, very large rats. I spent my junior year in Lodi High School. It was a miserable year. I was not able to develop it because I had to ride the bus home to do all the cooking and daily laundry using a wash tub and scrub board because both parents worked in the fields and vineyards. We lived a year in Lodi, then moved to South Los Angeles close to Gardena. I finished my 4th year of high school at Washington High School. That was my 4th high school. I was the only Asian in school. The school had never met or seen a Japanese American since we were all interned for 4 years. It was a very lonely year. No one spoke or befriended me. The other white person was a Mexican girl. We had lunch together. Polly Bergen, actress and chairman of Pepsi-Cola, was a classmate. We rode on the same bus. She was very nice to me, but she was busy preparing for her acting career. Returning to California was not a pleasant experience. We had the face of the former enemy. Jobs were scarce. We worked for low wages and housing was not available. Discrimination was open and very obvious. I met my husband Bill at a Japanese Presbyterian church in Los Angeles. We dated for 3 years and have been married for 63 years. We are very proud of the accomplishments of our 3 children. Our first son, Steve, who introduced me, graduated from Westmont College, Princeton Theological Seminary, and Claremont Theological Seminary. Steve served 20 years as senior pastor at Grace Presbyterian Church in Paramount, then 11 years as executive presbyter of the Los Ranchos Presbytery. As Dr. Stephen Toshio Yamaguchi, he is presently serving as the Dean of Students at Fuller Theological Seminary. He and his wife Ellison have 2 daughters, one who graduated and her sister who is a 4th-year student at Brown University. Our second child, Karen Nelson, and her son Dave have 2 sons and a daughter. Karen graduated from California State University, Long Beach, as did her husband Dave. After raising her 2 sons and serving as teacher and administrator of Vineyard Christian College for 14 years, she is presently the assistant to the senior pastor and director of women ministry at Calvary Mission Viejo. Can you hear me?
No.
You can hear me at all?
Speak louder.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We became grandparents last year when we were made. No, let me see. I'll start up here. Prior to his present job at the past 9 years as director of the City of Santa Ana Zoo at Prentice Park, he has been with the zoo for the past 29 years. He started as an educator for a Christian outdoor education program and with the Orange County Outdoor Education Program. His wife Janet is a senior vice president for education at the Discovery Cube, formerly known as Discovery Science Center. They became grandparents last year, which made me a proud grandmother. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was kept busy driving our children to libraries, museums, and school activities. I volunteered as a driver for Someone Cares, West Medical Santa Ana, and 10 years for the Meals on Wheels for the Meals on Wheels. Not too high.
No, just talk louder, Mom. That mic doesn't work.
Oh, okay. Bill and I were born in the United States and U.S. citizens. Our lives may have been affected by our parents' cultural background. At home, we lived by Japanese culture. At school, by Western culture. There were few Japanese words that shaped our upbringing. One is gaman, that's to preserve, learn to put up with hard times. And another is haji, which is shame. Do not do anything to bring shame to the family. And after the war, we felt ashamed for having been a United States American prisoner of war. We were taught to act of suppression, learn to live what we are dealt, not to. But I'm going to leave that out. This is not a good explanation why I never discussed my World War II experience with my children. I plan to give them a copy of my presentation I prepared. It will make it easier to talk about what happened. We lived in Los Angeles for 10 years and in North Tustin for 45 years, moving to Freedom Village 5 years ago. We are very happy to be living at Freedom Village, Lake Forest, truly a village of very friendly people. Thank you. If there are any questions, I will try to answer them. Any questions?